Hey guys, it's Daisy, and we're here to code. We're here for some Python, and I'm not gonna complain too much about staying up too late today. I actually started earlier than usual, so not only will I probably be less tired, but I will maybe get to bed on time too. Or I mean, get better sleep. Anyway, let's just finish what we started yesterday. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Benjamin Franklin. That's good. Well, here we are preparing. We read a bunch of stuff. We got more stuff to read, but this time we're gonna finish it. Build this pin extractor, and then this number pattern generator, and the rest of it. And then we have this dictionaries and sets, which has 50 things to do. Oh, crud. It's because it has a bunch of theory. Oh, that's not that much. Oh, it's because this workshop is super long. Oh, boy. Gotta love that guitar. Let's see. All right. What are enumerate and zip functions? Okay, so I started reading this last night, but yesterday, and it was very, I was sleepy. I was very tired. I might have to go over a lot of this again. I mean, there's a review thing over here, so it's not such a big deal. Okay. You learned how to work with the for loop, which is used to repeat a block of a set of code a set number of times. I mean, here is an example of using a for loop to print each language from the languages list to the console. Okay, yeah, but what if you wanted to keep track of the index for each element? Well, one option is to create an index variable and increment it by 1 for each iteration of the loop. Now that works. An easier way to do that is by using the enumerate function. The enumerate function keeps track of the index for an iterable and returns the enumerate object. What? So index 0 for language and languages, printf, index and language, and +1. Oh, okay. Yeah. So create an index variable. So that's not a function or a method or anything. That's just you literally creating the variable and then incrementing it. But enumerate does that same thing. But it returns an enumerate object. If we pass the languages list to the enumerate function and convert its return value into a list with the list function, it looks like this. Enumerate languages list. So you have to convert it to a list. What happens if you don't, I wonder? Well, we'll see. Each entry in the enumerate object is now a list, is a tuple containing, so it's a list of tuples containing a count, followed by a value from the iterable passed to the enumerate function. Now let's refactor the example from earlier to use the enumerate function. Yeah, that makes sense. Printf, index, and language. Oh, for index language in enumerate languages. Wait, so this is just printing this. Though it unpacks it. Yeah, I forgot about unpacking. Unpacking, that's an important thing that I'll definitely use later. Okay, list enumerate languages. So 0 Spanish, 1 English, 2. So this is, I think they only converted it they only converted it to a list to like show us here what that would do. But in the case of if you just print it with an F string here, it prints out this. And I guess it does it in different lines. Index 0. So we unpack the count and value for each tuple in the enumerate object into variables named index and language respectively. Finally, both those variables are used in an F string that's printed to the console in each iteration of the loop. This removes the need for manually creating and updating an index variable. But this creates, so for index language in enumerate languages. I wonder, Okay, so in this case with this for loop, it just creates these iterative variables. These didn't exist before. Okay, that was confusing me a bit. So it just creates two variables and then has you print them both in the f string. Okay, this removes the need for manually creating. The enumerate function also accepts an optional start argument that specifies the starting value for the count. If this argument is omitted, then the count will begin at 0. Here's an example of using the optional start argument. Language is 1. So this one, instead of starting at 0, indexes 1, 2, 3, 4, whereas this one 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so far we've only been iterating over one list, but what do you need to iterate over multiple iterables in parallel? Iterables in parallel. Well, you can use the zip function for that, which combines lists into pairs of elements and returns an iterator of tuples. If we pass the list... Wait, okay. Hold on. Iterate over multiple iterables in parallel. Combines the list into pairs of elements and returns an iterator of tuples. Pairs of elements, and it's an iterator of tuples. So it's like an actual zipper, where it like connects two things by hooking the teeth together. If we pass a list of developers and ids to the zip function and convert its return value into a list with the list function, here's what it looks like. What? If we pass a list of developers and ids to the zip function, convert its return value into a list with the list function, here's what it looks like. Oh, it's IDs. Developers and IDs. And you say zip developers IDs, it makes them into a bunch of tuples and just connects them. And then list, that's just if you need them listed. But if you don't need them listed, well, in that case, I wonder what it does. I mean, because they do show what happens when you make it a list, and they show what happens if you print it as an f string. But what if you, or I mean, they show this for the for loop, for the enumerate thing. Really? Okay. Oh. Alright. And here's an example of using the zip function with a for loop to iterate over developers and ids. I mean IDs. Man, my brain. I'm not that tired though. I think I'm just like mentally fried. I really gotta start doing this in the middle of the day rather than before bed. I think that's something I gotta start doing soon. I do like coding right before bed, but it's really not working out. I gotta make time. But I also don't want to do it like early. It'll probably have to be in like the afternoon or something. Oy. Then I can do other stuff before I go to bed. Like read books or something. Something that'll make me sleepy. This does make me sleepy though. It helps me like get tired because a lot of the time I have trouble sleeping. I think on the days where I have trouble sleeping is when I should then decide to like code before bed or read about coding before bed. Anyway, if passed a list of developers and IDs to the zip function, convert its return value to a list. This is what it looks like. Bunch of tuples. And here's an example of the zip function with a for loop to iterate over developers and IDs. Okay, for name, ID, id, zip. Oh wait, so developers and IDs, and then for name and ID in zip. Printf name, printf ID. Oh wait, yeah, they're f strings. In this example, the zip function binds the two lists of pairs and elements and returns an iterator of tuples. The for loop then unpacks each tuple into name and ID. Finally, for each print statement, we're printing the name and ID from the IDs and developer lists respectively. Here's what the result looks like. Name, ID. Cool. Oh yeah, and it prints them line by line because of the for loop. The enumerate and zip functions are very powerful, and when combined with loops can make your code much more concise. What does it do? It's to keep track, to create tuples and sets from lists. Keep track of the index of an iterable, and I think that's what it's for. Which of the following optional arguments in the enumerate function specifies the starting value of its start? but it's just called the start. Like normally you wouldn't put start there, you would just put the index where you want to start from. What does the zip function do? Create zip files. An iterable, nope, it's just to break out, no. Over multiple iterables in parallel. Sweet, okay, 78% done. What are list comprehensions, or what are some useful functions with lists? For the past few lessons, you've been getting comfortable working with loops like this. Yeah, even numbers. For num in range 21, if num modulo 2 equals 0, then yeah, it would create even numbers. So even numbers dot append num. Oh right, yeah, if the num, and then yeah, put it in, okay. Yeah, that's, this example creates a new empty list called even numbers and loops through a sequence of numbers between 0 and 20 inside the loop. Oh yeah, it wouldn't include 21 because it ends there. It's non-inclusive. Inside the loop, there's a condition that checks if the current number has a remainder of 0 when divided by 2. This is used to determine if the number is even. If the condition is true, then the current num is appended at the end of the even numbers list. Finally, we print the even numbers list to the console. While this code works, there's a more concise way to write this list that uses list comprehension instead. List comprehension allows you to create a new list in a single line by combining a loop and condition directly within square brackets. I think the fact that I'm reading all these things aloud is slowing me down, but it kind of helps me think, and it would be weird if I was just silently reading it. Okay, it allows you to create a new list in a single line by combining a loop and condition directly. Wait, okay. List comprehension allows you to create a new list in a single line by combining a loop and condition directly within the square brackets. Oh, this makes the code shorter and often easier to read. Here's the refactored example using square brackets. Even numbers equals num for num in range 21 if num. Is that what? For num in range 21. But this one says num for num in range 21. I don't get why they have to add that. In this refactored example, the even numbers list is created using a single line of code. The list comprehension loops through the numbers 0 to 20 and includes only those that are divisible by 2. But why does it put num there? This approach is more compact and eliminates the need for a separate loop and conditional block. Let's take another look at another example so we can better understand how list comprehension works. Okay, so numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Result num even. Okay. Oh, weird. Okay, so num even if num modulo 2 equals 0. And then else, so it says like else without colon or anything and with no indentation. Sorry, my eye is really irritated for some reason. Just give me 1 sec. My goodness. Okay. Num even, else num odd for num in numbers. Print result. So I guess this makes sense. And I guess, so this just declares what the iterable is, what the iterative variable is, or whatever it's called. And then this tells it to create a tuple. In this example, we have a list of numbers and want to create a new list of tuples indicating which numbers are even or odd. In the first part of the list comprehension, we used an if statement to check if the number is evenly divisible by 2. Oh yeah, it uses if and else. This is like for, so this is a little different. For loop. and it's a range. The range one is not too difficult to understand, but I barely see it, and I barely ever think to use range, so it's like the one I know least about out of all the different loops. Anyway, okay, indicating numbers are even and odd. In the first part of the list comprehension, we use an if statement to check if the number is evenly divisible by 2. If so, the result is a tuple of that number followed by the word even. Otherwise, the result is a tuple with the number followed by odd. Here's what the result looks like printed in the console. Another way to create a list starting from the existing iterable is the filter function. Here's an example of creating a new list of words, of just words longer than 4 characters. So, def. Oh, there's a function. Oh, wait. Filter function. Okay, wait. So def is long word. Return len word greater than 4. Wait, so return len word. Wait, def is long word. Return len. Long words equals list. Filter is long word words. Oh. Weird. Okay. So it filters. Long word equals, if we ignore this list bit for a second, it filters based on the isLongWord function and then the list words. And this one is confusing to me. They defined a function here, isLongWord, return len word greater than 4. Oh, I see. So it just returns basically a number. It stores a number in isLongWord here, I think. And then the filter basically... No, wait, that still doesn't make a lot of sense to me. This is confusing. The filter function is used to select elements from an iterable that meet a specific condition. The filter function accepts a function and an iterable for its arguments. Okay, so you need a function for its argument. In this example, we are passing in an isLongWord function into the filter function to check if the current word count is greater than 4. Current word count? You mean the length of the word? All words that have a character count greater than 4 are added to a new list and assigned to the long words variable. Okay, I bet that'll make more sense if I actually see it in action. Aside from the filter function, there are a few more aside from the filter function, there are a few more functions that are helpful when working with lists. Another function to be aware of is the map function, which takes an iterable and applies a function to each of its elements. Here's an example of the map function to a list of temperatures from Celsius to Fahrenheit. 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. 2 Fahrenheit temp, return temp times, oh yeah, 9 over 5 plus 32. Yeah, that's how you convert Fahrenheit list map to Fahrenheit Celsius. Okay, so it puts in the Celsius list as the second thing. Wait, because it says it takes a accepts a function and an iterable. So the Celsius is the list, which is the iterable, and then the function is that it takes the temp and returns temp. And I guess just it knows that whatever argument or whatever parameter and argument you put in, or whatever parameter you put in, that's the argument being put in from the iterable. The iterable puts in the argument to this function. And in this case, the parameter is temp, so it takes whatever it is and converts it. And then you map that, but then turn it to a list. Oh, I just realized, yeah, it says they both accept a function and an iterable. Just like the filter function, the map accepts a function and iterable for its arguments. The 2 Fahrenheit function takes a temperature and converts it from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Wait, so filter removes things to filter it out, and then Map applies the function to each element. Whereas filter, I think filter, the function has to check the word and then it filters them out instead of like, this one just makes a new list. Or I mean, it doesn't make a list, it only did that because of the list function, but it just iterates. It just applies the variable to every single thing. Okay. Or not applies the variable, you know what I mean. Just like the filter, actually takes temperature. Okay, last function we look at is the sum function. This function is used to get the sum from an iterable list like a list or a tuple. Here's an example of the sum function. So sum, okay. Makes sense. You can also pass in an optional start. I wonder if sum would work with characters and we'll just put them all to, it would concatenate, not characters, strings. It seems like you can always do funny things with strings. You can also pass in an optional start argument, which sets the initial value for the summation. Here's an updated example using start argument as a positional argument. Numbers, comma 10. So it adds them together and adds 10 to that. It's interesting. That seems like could be surprisingly useful. But by the time that you actually need to use that in a code, you'll have to look up how to do it again. That's a lot of coding. It feels like there's just so much to remember that you can't actually memorize all of it. You just have to see it all like once and sort of get the gist of it. And then later when you're coding, you remember that, oh, this thing existed, this function exists, this method exists, this syntax for what I want to do exists somewhere. But you just can't memorize all of it. So you just need to know it exists so you can go out there and look for it. That's basically what they're doing right now. I don't need to memorize all of this, but I need to remember that it can be done for whenever I'm doing some other project, and one of these things, it happens to be exactly what I need. You can also use the start argument as a keyword argument like this instead. Total equals sum numbers, start equals 10. Both versions will produce the same result, but the keyword argument is a little more explicit. Oh, it just is easier to read, like you can tell. List comprehension, as well as other functions like map, filter, and sum, might seem a little confusing at first, but with enough practice and time, you'll start to feel more comfortable using them in your Python programs. I sure hope so. Which of the following is the correct way to use list comprehension? Oh geez. Num for num in range 21 if for num in range 21 if no. Yeah, I remember explicitly taking note of the fact that being in front is kind of odd. Which of the following functions takes an iterable and applies a function to each of its elements? I think that was map. Oh, these are the ones we didn't even hear about. What will be printed to the console? Numbers 5, 10, 15, 20, total sums, numbers 10. Is this not the same exact, the 61? 15 plus 15 is 30 plus 20 plus 10 is 60. Cool. Some of those questions are, I get they're not exactly supposed to be like quizzing you. It's kind of just like, hey, were you paying attention? But still, I feel like they should be a little more difficult. That way you really got to pay attention. And you know that you weren't paying enough attention if they're harder. Maybe if the questions are so easy, that means you never really needed to pay that much attention. Okay, we're almost done with this and we can at least do that workshop tonight. I think it'd be great to do the lab too, or at least start on it. Starting on it would be good because, you know, usually in the middle of a lab, I go to sleep and then the next time I look at it, I can figure it out. There are the previous lessons throughout heaven and earth. I am the honored one. We've been used to defining functions by using the def keyword like this. Lambda functions. Are they going to give me a different way to define functions? Square, num, return, num, squared. Okay. But when it comes to working with high order functions like map and filter, you can use an anonymous inline function. This is where lambda functions come in. An anonymous inline function? Why does it have to be anonymous? What is it? Why? Here's what the square function looks like when refactored into a lambda function. Lambda, okay, so you literally say lambda. Lambda num to the power of 2. What? So you like don't, instead of like putting in a parameter like that, you do it by putting the parameter and then a colon. As mentioned earlier, lambda functions are anonymous, so this function no longer has the name square associated with it. Oh. What's the point of that? Lambda functions are great when you need to use them in higher order functions like this. Like higher order functions. That's odd. Numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even numbers, list, filter, lambda. Even numbers equals list, filter. And then it just puts the function in here, lambda x modulo 2 equals 0, comma, numbers. Oh yeah, because filter takes a function. And then, okay, I mean, that might be better like when I'm doing something like filter or map. That way I can just, because I'm just using the function in that one situation, I can put the function in there. That way I don't have to create a whole function just to do this one thing. Maybe that's the benefit. In this example, we have a list of numbers, want to create a new list of even numbers, so we pass in a lambda function as one of the arguments to the filter function to get a list containing 2 and 4. When working with lambda functions, it's important to be aware of best practices. For example, it is not a good practice to assign a lambda function to a variable like this. Oh, okay. So this is something you can totally do. You can assign a lambda function and it literally, like, you have a variable and that variable just is a function. That's odd. This defeats the purpose of using anonymous functions. In this case, you can use a regular function like this. But what if... Oh wait, I just realized. If there... That means that in this case, in the case of map and maybe in filter, possibly, it doesn't give me an example, but that means that in these cases you don't have to put the parentheses after the function. Normally you would, like even if you don't give it parameters and you're not giving it an argument, you still need the parentheses after every function, but I guess you just don't if it's in like the map function or filter. Is map and filter, they call those higher order functions? With high order functions. I guess that just means a function where you put a function in the function. Maybe that's considered high order. Kind of like with animals, where like when you're higher up in evolution, you're high order. I maybe not. Well. Okay, well that's interesting. So you just don't need parentheses. Anyway, avoid creating ones that are difficult to read or unnecessarily complicated like this. Lambda x. Oh, I see. So it's like they do a lambda. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not supposed to be able to understand this, but I'm having a hard time understanding this. While this function runs fine and produces the correct result of 14, it is not easy to read or look at. In this case, it would be better to create a separate function with an if-else statement and then call that function. Yeah, I mean, lambdas don't seem to have many benefits beyond, like, if you just want to use it once. That way you just can avoid putting a variable in. Or, I mean, putting a new, like, word in, a new function. I guess that's what anonymous means. It just means, like, it doesn't have a name. In this case, it's not like it's secret or anything. It's just anonymous, like it's unnamed. Both with regular functions and lambda functions. Wait, both regular functions and lambda functions have their use cases in Python programs. If you are dealing with single inline expressions, then you might consider using a lambda function. Otherwise, using a regular function would be the way to go. Yeah, so it's like pretty much literally if you're using map or filter, just a function that needs a function put into it. Lambdas might be useful if you're just using it once. You know, with a single inline expressions. Wait, if you are dealing with a single inline expressions, then you might consider using a lambda function. I wonder if I'm just reading that wrong or if that's a grammar mess up. Know what I mean? Defining a function with multiple lines and conditional logic, creating a reusable function across multiple modules, writing a small function for use inside a map or filter call. Yeah, it's like very specific. Why is it generally considered bad practice to assign a lambda function to a variable? Defeats the purpose of using an anonymous function. What is the primary? What if I just don't want to put parentheses on it? See, I wonder if you use a lambda function but put it in a variable for no reason, do you need to put parentheses after that variable in order to use the function? Oh, so many questions. Oh yeah. Okay. It's like 3:18. I should sleep soon, but I'll keep it going for a bit. What is the primary disadvantage of using a complex lambda function like the one shown below? I don't know. Makes the code more readable. Yeah, that's the primary disadvantage. Unexpected behavior due to ambiguity. I mean, that's true, but it's harder to understand and maintain. That's the main issue. Okay, we are 100% done. Let's go. Good ads. Support free code camp. Support free education. Help bears become superheroes. Yeah. Ask me later when I have more money. Okay, build a pin extractor. Let's freaking do this. Wait, okay. Let's see. What else do we have to do? This doesn't look too complicated. Define a function named number pattern that takes a single parameter n representing a positive integer. Number pattern should use a for loop. Number pattern n should return a string with all the integers starting from 1 to n included, separated by a space. For example, number pattern 4 should return a string 1, 2, 3, 4. If the argument passed to the function is not an integer value, that function should return. Argument must be an integer value. Wait, if the argument passed to the function is not an integer value, the function should return argument must be an integer value. If it's less than 1, it must be an integer greater than 0. This seems kind of easy. I wonder if this is another situation where, because they had updated some of the stuff here in Python basics, they ended up accidentally like making certain things that are like more difficult than the labs that show up later. Because that definitely happened at least once. In this workshop, you will create a pin extractor. The pin digits are hidden in each line of a poem. Okay, start by creating a function called pin extractor. Okay. Is it playing music when I type? I didn't know it would do that. Okay. I don't know about that. That's fun and cute, but like, if that gets distracting, I'm gonna shut that off. I thought it was just doing the guitar thing when I like expanded and collapsed like lists when I was selecting, like going through like the exercises. Anyway, an empty function gives an error, so add pass inside the function temporarily to make it valid. Do I have to? Yeah, okay. Whoops. I meant to I've never done that. That's funny. Okay, so check the code. Looks like a genius made this code. Heck yeah, why did it take longer than usual to run the test? And why is these tests, it's like // like in C. Like it's leaving comments in C. Okay. Wait, how many things were there? 19. Okay, that's not so bad. I keep checking if things are gonna like be difficult or take a long time. Okay, you will need a variable to hold the secret code while you decode it. So remove pass. Oh, thanks. Okay, and create a variable called secret tunnel. Secret tunnel. Okay, secret code. Assign it an empty string. There we are. Running test completed. That's new, right? I don't think it was doing this thing earlier where it says running test completed. Either that's this specific thing or they updated this recently. While you work on the function, it would be useful to have a function call for debugging purposes. So create a poem variable outside the function that creates this poem. Oh, it contains this poem. Poem. Oops. Poem equals. Wait, how does the multi-line thing... I did 3. Oh, I see. So you do it in between them. Stars and the moon. Oh, we have to capitalize that S. Shine. If I remember correctly, even though they usually use single quotes for most of the strings I see in Python, for the triple quotes for multi-line, the examples were always double quotes. Or for when there's 3 quotes. Okay. Hope I'm doing this right. Stars and moon shine in the sky. Light and bright. Until the end of the night. Okay. I call the function with the poem variable as an argument. Wait, what? Call the variable? Or call the function? Well, I mean, I'll do that, but, in extractor. So, wait, the parameter put in when we defined this function, the parameter was poem. And then we're passing in the argument poem, which is this variable we just made. I didn't know I could do that. That's a little confusing, but I guess it demonstrated something for me. Alright. I'm also real quick, gonna print poem, just so I can see if I did the triple quote thing right. So it doesn't even, it just does the new line syntax right there. It does a \n. Cool. Okay, submit and continue. Okay, so it looks like I did that right. Because normally if you do it like not the way I wanted you to, it'll just sort of fix it when you do the next step. Now that you've added a function call, you can see any error created inside the function in the terminal, and you can always use print to see the value of things. What? You can see any error created inside the function in the terminal. You can print to see the value of things. There's a digit in the pin hidden in every line, so inside the function, use the split method to divide the string in a list of line. Okay. Split. I forgot that's not how you do these. It's poem dot split. It's not a dot. That's not a dot. Poem dot split. Split the lines on the new line character. Backslash n. This is like the first time they've mentioned backslash n. Would I have to do it as a string? Yeah, okay. So poem.split on new line. Split the lines on the new line character and assign the resulting list to a variable called lines. Oh wait, so I guess I would do lines first. Lines equals poem.split. Cool. You need to work on each line independently. Create a loop over lines that uses line as a loop variable inside the loop print line. Alright, for line in lines. And then we just print line. Alright. That looks correct. Cool. Console output poem. Okay. The nth digit of the pin is hidden as the length of the nth word in the nth line. What? To find the length of the nth word, the next step is to separate the line of the poem into a list of words inside the loop. Except is to separate the line into a list of words. Okay. Inside the loop. Wait, so yeah, in the for loop, create a variable words and assign it to the value lines. Value of line split into words using the split method. Okay. Okay. Line dot split. Then add a print call with words as its argument. Okay, that looks right. Do we still have to print the line? I mean, I guess so. I feel like we could remove the line thing now. As you learned in a previous lesson, the enumerate function allows to keep track of the index while looping over a variable. For index item in enumerate fruits, print index item. Okay. The nth digit of the secret code comes from the nth word of the nth line. So you need to know what is the number of each line. Change the loop. Oh, sorry, someone tried to chat, but it was like a bot advertising it said cheap viewers or something. So what the hell? I'm glad I can like deny those. Because also I feel like they're like trying to advertise not just to me, but like to anyone else who watches. So that's just obnoxious. Okay, you need to know what is the number of each line. Change the loop so it iterates on enumerate lines. It iterates on enumerate lines. Okay. I hope this is what they want me to do. Oops. Oops. Well, that was completely wrong. And add another loop variable for line named line index. Before line. Oh, I see. Okay, wait, so it's not wrong. Alright. Also update the print call to call print line index comma line. 3. Okay. I feel like I'm kind of understanding this. In the last line of the loop, update the print call so that it prints the word inside the words list at index line index. Wait, in the last line of the loop, update the print call so that it prints the word inside the words list at index line index. Really, even though I'm not insanely tired, I think I should sleep soon, because even though I started doing this earlier than the past few days, I still want to take this opportunity to get to sleep earlier. In the last line of the loop, update the print call so it prints the word inside the words list. Yeah, I'm like, my brain's having a hard time understanding this extremely short explanation. In the last line of the loop. Oh boy. But I think I should start the lab, just so I might come back and suddenly have a better understanding of it after sleeping. Okay. In the last line of the loop, update the print call so that it prints the word inside the words list at index line index. What? In the last line of the loop, update the print call so it prints the word inside the words list. At index line index. So, if I remember correctly, sorry, that took me a second to remember, but I think it means this. Okay, so stars in bright of. Yeah, that looks right? Okay. Okay, I'm glad. I'm happy every time I get slightly challenged and then it ends up working out. Yeah, okay. The len function gives the length of a string. Update the second print call to print the length of that word. Wait, okay, len gives the update the second print to call. Wait, update the second print call to print the length of the word. So, should I just put len in front of it? Oops. I hope this works. Okay, 5262. Okay, nice. Alright, the length returned from len is an integer. You need to convert it to a string using the stir function to be able to add it to the secret code string. Update print to call to print the length as a string. Nope. That was wrong. I think I'm supposed to just say str to make it a string. Alright, we are on the right track. Now you can concatenate string, len, words, line index to secret code. Secret code. Wait, we can concatenate it to secret code. Remove the print call. Okay, we were just doing that to be sure. And use the augmented assignment. Plus for concatenation. Alright, so Remove print. And we gotta remove one of these. Let's see. So, secret tunnel. Secret tunnel. Secret code. Plus equals. Okay, that should work. It worked. I'm a genius. Alright, remove the two print calls and add a return statement that returns secret code on the last line of the function. Oh. Wait, that's a bit of a screw up, right? Hold on. So we're on step 12. Let me look at step 11. Yeah. So it says remove the print call and use the augmented assignment. So I removed it. We'll just do it again just to show. Secret tunnel. Secret code plus equals that. And we just get rid of one of these parentheses. Okay. So that works, but then it'll put the print function back, even though it just told us to remove it, and I removed it, and it said that my code passes. It puts it back anyways. They screwed that up a little bit. But yeah, now it says to remove the two print functions. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why did it backspace that much? Wait, what does it say? Okay. One more time. Backspace once. Yeah, it's like it... I don't know. My backspace key doesn't feel like it's like it got stuck or anything. I don't know what the heck happened. Okay, and then return. That does the... What? Remove the two prints. What? Return the two print calls and add a return statement that returns secret code in the last line. Oh, okay. I see. So instead of putting secret code, you just return secret tunnel. Okay, secret code. Okay, yeah, so I don't really need to... What is this here for? Let's go away. Alright. So, this looks good. Well, the pin extractor function should return secret code at the end. It does. It literally says it does. Running test, the pin extractor should do it. Pin extractor should return 5262. Maybe I should just put it like this. Oh, okay. It was because I had it indented, so okay, it was still in this for loop, which I needed it not to be. This just puts it in this block of code where we're defining pin extractor. Alright, 13. Pass pin extractor poem to the print function so you can see what the function is returning. Five, 2, 6, 2. Now the function is doing a good job in extracting the code from the poem. But there is an edge case to consider. The line of the poem could be shorter than expected, and that would make the function error out. You can try this by removing bright from the poem. Okay, I'll give it a shot. Okay, cool. And I'll put it back. Broad's good. I'm really great at spelling. Put the line secret code plus string lens word index in an if statement that checks if there are enough words in the words list. Alright. So that would be here. If here. I'll do that afterwards, which is the normal way of doing things. If put secret code, la di da, an if statement. If there are enough words. Let's see. How would I do that? The line of the poem could be shorter than expected. I'm actually not exactly sure what to do here. So put it in an if statement that checks that there are enough words in the words list. How exactly would I do that? And what time is it? It's 3:43. Maybe I should go to bed at like 4. Put the line secret code in an if statement that checks if there are enough words in the words list. Well, okay, so how long does the words list need to be? If does len check the length of a list? If len words, how long does it have to be? Would it have to be equal to or greater than the line index? I guess so. That makes sense. That's not even how you do it. It's like that. Line in line. What the heck am I doing? Here we are. Line index. Oh boy. Oh right. I didn't even put the freaking colon. Okay, now let's try bright. Well, that throws an error anyway. Oh, whatever, I'll test it. Len words greater than line index. It can't be equal to or greater than? I know it's close. Okay, so what if it says this then? Oh, it just doesn't do it. Okay, it just has to be greater than. Length of words. I don't fully understand. Maybe it's because they're 0 based, so it has to be, it can't be equal to or greater than, because then it could just be 0. I don't know. I can't really fathom why that's the case, but I'll try to remember that. The third line of the poem is missing a third word. Oh, they removed bright, so the pin is shorter than expected. Add an else clause that concatenates a 0 to secret code when there are not enough words so that all lines of the poem are used to find digits. Add an else clause. So if an else yeah, okay, secret plus equals, yeah, increment by 1 at 0, which should be a string, right? Okay. Sweet. Now the pin extractor works, but it could be more efficient. You could extract the pin from many poems at the same time. Add 2 more poems in the global scope. Oh, jeez. Alright, I'll play your games. What am I doing? I spelled that wrong immediately. Poem 2. Okay. So they're using the new line character. What the heck? Okay, well, I'm gonna do my triple quotes. Okay, and in between. The grass is green. New line. Here and there. Hoping for rain before it turns yellow, amarillo. What? And then, okay, poem 3 equals there once was a dragon. And for now, comment out the print with the call to pin extractor. Hashtag #. Okay, cool. Oh, see, I was thinking maybe there was supposed to be a space, just for Pythonic purposes, and I backspaced it, but they put it there. I like how these ones just got added in without the triple quote thing. It's just the... So they did want me to use the new line characters. That's odd. Update the function argument to be poems. So this would have to be poems also. Update the function argument to be poems, then create a for loop. Oh wait, no. I wouldn't put the S there. Okay. Then create a for loop around all the current content of the function that iterates over poems and uses poem as a loop variable. Oh boy. So okay, so I'm gonna have to indent all of this, I think. Can't find the home row. For poem in poems. Yep, everything needs to be indented. I think this one is fine right here. You should move the existing body of the function into the new for loop. So do I have to do this? Oh yeah, so even for poem and poems, I also have to return secret code. So the last part does have to get indented. Oopsie daisy. Before the loop, create a new variable secret codes that has a starting value of an empty list. Okay. Secret codes. Empty list. Oops. There we go. Replace return secret code line with a line that appends secret code to secret codes list. Okay. Would I say dot append or would I just do the plus thingy? Let's try the plus one because I like that. Oh, okay. No, that doesn't work. Okay, secret codes dot append cool. Oh shoot. Did I spell something wrong? At the end of the loop, you should have secret codes dot append secret code. At the end of what loop? This one? Wait, should this be back one? No. Okay. Maybe at the end of the for loop? So that means I would have to append it. Oh boy. Alright, I'm gonna restart this. At the end of the loop, replace. Okay, wait, so above here we do secret codes equals empty list. Oh, so I replaced the return part also. Secret codes dot, oh geez, okay, append secret code. Alright. Okay, so I just had to remove the return part. Finally the secret codes. Finally return secret codes. Oh, it has to return the list now. And then uncomment the function call, the print function call, and update the argument to be poem, poem2, poem3. Alright, return the slab. So, return secret codes. Okay, and then we'll do it all. Poem 2, poem 3, and then uncomment. Line 23. Pair pin to air extractor takes one positional argument, but there were 3 given. Takes one positional argument? Oh, I need, yeah, whoops. It was supposed to be a list. I have to turn this into a list, and this should work now. Alright, okay. Wait, this one's longer. Is it supposed to be this long? Can a pin number have... Isn't that too long? Okay, pin numbers can have 5 numbers, I guess. we sure that that's not an issue? There once was a dragon. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Every single, these other ones have 4 lines, but there once was a dragon has 5. So it's just a 5-pin thing. Should I post this on Instagram? I'm never gonna stop making jokes about that. It just is funny, the concept of like posting it. Oh, here we go. Heck yeah. Yeah. Support free code camp. Free coding for the masses. Teach the children. Teach everyone. Oh. Ask me later. Alright, we're gonna try to figure this out. And it's 3:58. Well, I'll give it a shot anyway, but I'm going to bed soon. Def number pattern. Parameters at colon. We'll say pass. Okay. Number pattern should use a for loop. Should return a string with all the integers starting from 1 up to 4. Okay, well, let's just create the string. I don't know what to call the string. Okay, we'll just say nums. I'll call it string. Why not? What are they gonna do about it? Okay, so string exists. Or let's see, it returns a string for all the integers starting from 1 up to n. I guess for, I don't know, numbers in range n. For numbers in range n. It would be like string plus string adds a string of maybe let's call it number, or number in range n. Do the string of number. The argument passed to the function is not an integer value. Function to return argument must be an integer value. Okay, well, I guess we'll say let's see, before string, we'll just say if n is not int, Yeah, I might have to use the not equals, but oh well. Return. Wait, so it should return. Okay, I see now. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. So under this for loop, we're gonna say return string. And then we're gonna say let's see. Oh yeah, here's what we're gonna do. First it's gonna first check. Okay, we'll leave that empty string there called string. We'll first check if n is not int, then it'll we'll add to the string Jeez, I'm having trouble with this. Argument. Is that how you spell argument? That just looks weird for some reason. Argument must be an integer value. Oops. And then I guess we'll say does it have to be an elif? We could just use another if statement. If n less than, what is it? 1. We'll do an elif just to be safe, because there's no harm in it. Elif n is not, elif n is less than 1 string plus argument must be an integer greater than 1. Oh, so greater than 0. What am I thinking? And just to be sure, we'll say print number pattern 3. Okay, I'm going to do the not equals thing, because that solved another issue. I think I just don't understand how the is not part works. Oh. Huh. So if n doesn't equal an integer, But 3 is an integer. Oh boy. Alright, I'm gonna think about this for a second, but I might just go to bed. This could be one of those. An argument must be an integer value. So it still goes through the for loop. I'm also gonna really quick I'm gonna make this an else so that if those two mess up, it just won't do this. No, wait. Okay, for now, there's no point in that. Because this shows me that it is working. The for loop is going through because it's an integer that we put in. And it appended. It added that to the string. But it adds it to the string after... Also, it shouldn't say 0, 1, 2. It should say 1, 2, 3, 4. Should I just say +1? That'd be kind of like an easy cop-out, but I don't think that's what they wanted me to do. Oh, no. Never mind. That doesn't work. I'm pretty sure there is a way to, like, make it start. I think I can make it start at 1 like that. No. Okay. Well, that part I just need to go review the stuff I was just looking at to figure out how to make it start at 1 and go up to 3 when I type in 3. But I have no idea why this first part isn't working. It shouldn't be saying the argument is not an integer value unless it isn't. But 3 is an integer value. Okay, let's see. If n equals str or float. What? But it's not a float. Oh, let's say is. What? Oh my god. Okay, fine. N equals float. Okay. I mean, I don't know if that technically works, because there's other stuff other than strings and floats, right? Why would the not equals int? No, that's backwards. But why would that? It literally says if it doesn't equal an integer, and I have an integer typed in. I can't at all imagine why it would be doing that. Okay, I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm just gonna leave a comment here. is this happening? And then over here, I'll say, what, this should start at 0 and at, I don't know, go up to and include n. Wait, this should start at 1. It should start at 1 and go up to and include n. Okay. Alright, I feel like we've made lots and lots of progress. We got through that whole lab. We did like 90% of this, we did most of this, whatchamacallit, we did most of this lab. We got through that workshop. We finished reading the stuff. Today was a good day. It's a good time to leave it off now, I think, and get some sleep. So, I'll be seeing you on the flip side. See you tomorrow. And I'm gonna maybe work on doing this at a different time. Changing my schedule a little bit. I'll still be going to bed kind of late, but maybe not as late if I'm not obligated to do this before bed. Try to do it in the evening or the afternoon. Anyway, I'll be seeing ya. Have a good night. Have a good night. Goodbye. Bye-bye.